move into the goals now relative to our program design model. And the first one we'll start with is weight loss. So what is weight loss? Weight loss is, in essence, for our purposes, the desire to lose body fat and or reduce body weight. And this can be clients that aren't necessarily considered obese, and they may only want to lose or shed up to 10 to 20 pounds. And this may be primarily body fat that we're looking at. So when we're talking about excess weight, it's usually in the form of body fat. Let's look at some factors now that affect weight or weight gain. And so we have things that we can't change about ourselves, and that's the things like genetics, our age, our sex, some of the stressors, and then our history. Things that we can influence, however, are our food intake, the amount of exercise or movement that we have, our responses to stress, how much sleep we get, our actual lifestyle, the activities we do in our lifestyle, our habits, our attitudes, our belief systems, and then the future. Now, when we look at weight classifications, we can talk about weight classifications and someone's weight relative to the body mass index, or what's called BMI. And so when we look at the U.S. population specifically, and this is also relative around the world, is approximately 2 out of every 3 adults is considered overweight. And what overweight is classified as a body mass index of 25 to 29.9, as you can see here in the chart. Now, some principles and concepts of weight loss are important for us to look at. There's really 2 main principles concerning weight loss, and that's energy balance and hormonal balance. So energy balance is essentially calories consumed versus calories burned. So what's coming in versus what's going out. And there's some simple equations that we can utilize to see how we're going to modify our weight or how we're going to modify the energy balance. So the first equation is simple. If we have more calories coming in, or we're eating more than we're actually burning or moving, that's going to equate to storage. That's weight gain. That means we're going to have added fat. If we have more calories being burned, or we're moving more than we're actually consuming or taking in, then we're going to have a depletion, and that's weight loss. That's how we lose weight. If we have the same amount of calories coming in and the same amount of calories being burned, then there's no change, and that's just a homeostasis. That's just weight stays the same. So what we're looking for is we're looking to have more calories being burned than we're actually consuming. From a hormonal balance standpoint, we have to realize, and we've just heard a great lecture on hormones and kind of how they affect the body, but remember that hormones affect the functional capacity of the body and how it works. And so what we have to realize is that they're kind of the messengers that help the body get done what needs to be done. But prolonged stress can increase and sustain stress-related hormones such as cortisol, and this has been shown, cortisol has actually been shown to lead to visceral fat storage, or fat storage around the viscera. Now, the hormones themselves and cortisol and some of these hormones that we're going to talk about are actually good, and they're things that we want to have stimulated. It's just in the prolonged sense. So when we look at hormones that increase fat metabolism, cortisol is one of those. And cortisol helps accelerate lipolysis, which is the releasing of free fatty acids into the blood so that they can be taken up by the cells and used for energy production. So this is something that we want. We want to have these free fatty acids into the bloodstream so they can be used for our energy. And this is how we can actually get the burning of fat. But remember, we have to be aware of the chronically elevated cortisol levels because that can lead to fat storage. Now, over a prolonged period of time throughout our exercise, that these cortisol levels can peak and then they return to normal levels. And so in order to help sustain and maintain this free fatty acid and this ability to use the free fatty acids in our blood, we go to other hormones. And these hormones are growth hormone and the catecholamines, which are adrenaline or epinephrine, and noradrenaline or norepinephrine. And so the catecholamines and the growth hormone, they take over cortisol's role in releasing the free fatty acids after cortisol levels have returned back to normal. Now, some strategies for losing weight, which is really the most important component of what we're talking about. It's really simple. Any form of exercise can lead to initial weight loss, meaning that anytime we start moving above a level that we're accustomed to, we're going to be burning more calories than we consume if we keep our diet the same. Now, it's important to realize that in research, it's both diet and nutrition combined. So your ability to modify your eating habits with your exercise level that really has the most potency and the most power for reducing weight. The key to sustain weight loss, however, while something can initially work, and a lot of people may go 3 or 4 weeks and they're losing weight and they feel great and all of a sudden they hit a plateau. The key to sustained weight loss with a larger amount of loss is a periodization, and we have to periodize our by increasing our intensity and continually keeping up with how our body's adapting. And so remember back when we talked about program design is our program has to always keep up with our clients. So as our clients' abilities increase, our program must increase in intensity, increase in challenge in order to sustain the the calories that we're burning relative to what we're consuming. And so looking at our program design model, we have 3 different strategies that we're going to use, which is essentially the 3 styles of training for a weight loss program. And that consists of our traditional, our progressive, and our hybrid styles. Now, all of these styles will work because each one of them will burn calories, and each one of them can be manipulated in their intensity. So it's important to realize that all of these styles will work, and what's going to make them effective is their relationship to the person's personality and their likes and dislikes. So this is where the behavior becomes very important, because if a person does not like the program, no matter how scientifically valid it is, they're not going to stick with it and it's not going to help them. So remember the importance of matching the client to the right program. So looking at traditional, let's look at some traditional programs for weight loss. One of the favorites is the cardio-only program, and this is the typical and most common approach. People just want to do cardio, and that's where they just want to either do a machine or they're just going to go out and do some walking. I don't want to lift weights, I just want to do some cardio. One of the reasons why this is so effective, or that people traditionally fall into this, is because it's something that can be performed anywhere. It's walking, running, biking, hiking. You can do it anywhere. You don't have to be in a specific location necessarily like a gym. It often requires little to no equipment. So I don't have to use anything. All I need is my body and a place to go walk. And it's constant motion, so the body is constantly moving, and people often think that they're doing more because my body's constantly moving. Another traditional form is something that's more gym-based, and this is the cardio and workout combination. And it's typically a workout of a circuit on a machine, on a line of machines. So it's kind of a circuit-based training with some cardio before and after, or before or after. So it's cardio and a workout. An example of this would be simply there's a warm-up involved. Someone may do 5 to 10 minutes of cardio. Then they may go do a circuit of machines, whether it's 1 to 3 sets, and then they come back and maybe finish up with 5 to 10 minutes of cardio, and they do a cool down. Now, looking at progressive forms of training and a style of training that is another strategy for losing weight, we have the use of games, perhaps some agility type drills, circuits utilizing more free weight type movements. So we're not necessarily on a line of machines, but we're doing more free weight, whether it's dumbbell, medicine ball, kettlebell, using a Viper, things of that nature. For many clients, this is more fun and it's more play-like, so they enjoy it. And again, remember, this is personality-based, so people who want to have more fun and they're kind of more free-spirited and they just want to get out and move, these types of programs fit much better, and so it's going to be easier for them to maintain and sustain their workout program. There's often less focus on working out and more focus on moving and playing. An example of this may include a warm-up that includes some games, and then a workout where there may be free weight or total body exercises mixed with some games and or agility type exercises, such as something like a speed ladder. Now, a hybrid approach is simply a combination of both of these. So we may have a cardio and a free weight movement circuit. So the person may do some traditional cardio on a treadmill, and then they may go do a few sets of a circuit with free weights. There could be a machine circuit mixed in with games and or some agility type drills dispersed throughout. So there's a variety of ways to mix and match. So some people like the traditional things of the treadmill or the elliptical, or they like the machine base, but they also want some fun and games thrown into that. So the hybrid approach allows for all of that to occur at one time.